What if I told you that the heart of Europe beats within a city whose very identity is a beautiful, complicated fabrication? A place so perfectly preserved it feels less like a living capital and more like a museum to a past that never quite existed. Most visitors come to Prague and see a fairy tale. They walk across the Charles Bridge, marvel at the astronomical clock, and leave believing they've touched the medieval soul of Europe. But they've only seen the first page. We're here to read the whole book. This isn't a tour, it's an investigation. We're going to peel back the layers of gold and Gothic stone to understand the story of a nation built on resilience, contradiction, and the art of survival. Forget the souvenirs. We're here for the secrets. Your journey in Prague begins with a sensory deception, a beautiful assault on the senses. The Old Town Square isn't just a collection of buildings. It's a meticulously curated theatrical stage. Centuries of Gothic towers, Baroque facades, and Renaissance townhouses all clamor for your attention, bathed in a golden light that feels almost divinely orchestrated. To the west, Prague Castle looms over the city like a sleeping giant, a sprawling, almost city-sized complex of palaces, churches, and fortifications that has been the seat of Czech kings, Holy Roman emperors, and now presidents for over a millennium. It is the undeniable anchor of power, looking down upon the city it both protects and dominates. Connecting these two worlds is the icon of icons, the Charles Bridge. To walk across it at dawn, with the 30 statues of saints emerging from the river mist like silent, moss-covered guardians, is an almost religious experience. It feels ancient, permanent, a direct line to the 14th century. Yet, this is our first clue in this investigation. The history here is so precious, so revered, that it can't be left to the mercy of the elements. The powerful, emotive statues you are admiring, the ones you photograph and reach out to touch, they are not the originals. Those were moved to the National Museum decades ago, one by one, replaced by meticulous replicas to protect them from the relentless march of acid rain and time. The same is true for the intricate, moving figures of the apostles on the astronomical clock. What you are witnessing every hour is a flawless copy, a performance of authenticity. This is a necessary act of preservation, a testament to the city's love for its own story. But it also plants a nagging question in your mind. Where does the real city end and the curated, perfect exhibition begin? This question follows you as you descend into the city's arteries. You quickly learn the unwritten rules of Prague life. On the metro escalators, you stand to the right. The left is a fast lane, an autobahn for those in a hurry, a small but rigid piece of social choreography that sorts the locals from the day's tourists. The public transport system itself is a fascinating study in social contracts. There are no turnstiles to force your compliance, just discreet yellow validators for the tickets you are trusted to buy. But this trust has a sharp edge. Get caught without a valid ticket by a plain, clothed inspector, and they are masters of blending in, and you'll be faced with a fine that can easily reach 50 euros. It's a system of relaxed control, a gentle but firm reminder that in this city, freedom and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. The city's relationship with its visitors, however, can feel far less gentle. The local currency, the Czech crown, becomes a battleground for the unwary. You're warned immediately by anyone who knows never, ever exchange money at the airport. The rates are predatory. In the city center, a more subtle trap awaits. You'll see signs screaming, "% commission," a promise that feels too good to be true, because it is. They don't take an explicit fee, but they build their profit into an exchange rate so poor you can lose 15, 20, or even 25% of your money in the transaction. 100 euros, which should get you around 500 Czech crowns at the time of this filming, might only yield 2,000, or even less. It's a calculated deception, playing on the trust of tourists eager to dive into their vacation. It's the city's pragmatic, almost cynical, underbelly peeking through the fairy tale facade. Even the ubiquitous blue and yellow Euronet ATMs are part of this landscape, modern-day bandits lurking on medieval streets, offering terrible rates and opaque fees. This isn't a flaw in the system. For some, it is the system. It's the first hint that this beautiful city has a complicated, sometimes parasitic, relationship with the very people who come to adore it, a hustle born from decades of economic uncertainty. One of the most profound and unsettling aspects of Prague is its pristine condition. Unlike Warsaw, which was razed to the ground, or Dresden and Berlin, which were firebombed into rubble, Prague emerged from the inferno of World War II, virtually untouched. There are no bomb craters paved over, no jarringly modern buildings filling the gaps left by destruction. The city's architectural timeline flows uninterrupted, a seamless tapestry of centuries. The common, romantic explanation is that the city was simply too beautiful for anyone, even the Nazis, to destroy. But the truth, as is so often the case here, is far darker and more disturbing. You hear the story whispered in the narrow lanes of the Jewish quarter, or Josefov. This historic ghetto, once one of the most vibrant centers of Jewish life in Europe, is now a somber, beautiful labyrinth of ancient synagogues and solemn cemeteries. The legend, supported by historical evidence, says that Adolf Hitler himself ordered Prague to be spared. His monstrous, chilling plan was to turn the city, and specifically the Jewish quarter, into an open-air museum of an extinct race. After he had completed his final solution, he ordered Nazi forces to gather Jewish artifacts from all over occupied Europe. Synagogue silver, precious Torah scrolls, everyday items, and ship them here to be cataloged and displayed. The Pinkas Synagogue, its walls now inscribed with the names of nearly 80,000 Bohemian and Moravian Jews who perished in the Holocaust, was intended to be an exhibition hall. The quarter was preserved not out of respect for its beauty, but as a future monument to a genocide its planners were actively carrying out. This scarless beauty, therefore, is itself a kind of scar. It's a constant, silent reminder of the horrors of the 20th century. The preservation of the stones came at the cost of its people. After the war's shadow receded, another one fell. The Soviet-backed communist coup of 1948 pulled the nation behind the Iron Curtain for 4 agonizing decades. This wasn't a war of bombs, but a quiet, insidious war on the soul. It was a period of crushing oppression, state-sanctioned paranoia, and suffocating censorship enforced by the dreaded secret police. The city's vibrant intellectual and artistic life, the spirit of Kafka, of the surrealists, of the avant-garde, was driven underground, forced into secret apartments and hidden pubs. You can still feel the echo of that era today, not just in the imposing Soviet-era architecture on the outskirts, but in the spirit of the people. This history explains so much about the modern Czech character, a deep-seated, almost reflexive skepticism of authority, a fierce protection of personal freedom, and a quiet, unyielding resilience. The Velvet Revolution of 1989, a remarkably peaceful transition that saw hundreds of thousands of people jangling keys in Wenceslas Square to symbolize the end of the regime, wasn't just a political change. It was a collective exhalation, a nation finally able to breathe again. Just a few years later, in 1993, Czechoslovakia would split peacefully into the Czech Republic and Slovakia in the Velvet Divorce. The contrast with the brutal disintegration of Yugoslavia could not be more stark, a testament to a national character that favors pragmatic solutions over violent conflict. The very flag of the Czech Republic, with its white, red, and blue triangle, is a holdover from the Czechoslovak era, a symbol of a past they have moved on from, but refuse to entirely erase. To understand the Czech soul in the 21st century, you have to understand its relationship with God, or, more accurately, the widespread lack thereof. The Czech Republic consistently ranks as one of the most atheistic, irreligious, or agnostic countries on Earth. Recent studies suggest that up to 70–80% of the population, especially those under 30, identify as having no religion. This isn't simple indifference. It's a core part of the national identity, and its roots are deeply entwined with the history we just discussed. During the 40 years of communist rule, religion was systematically dismantled. The state, officially atheist, saw the church as a rival ideology and a threat to its absolute control. It seized church property, dissolved monastic orders, and actively persecuted priests and believers. For generations, faith became a private, almost clandestine affair, a risk that could cost you your career or your freedom. When the regime fell in 1989, there was no great religious revival as seen in neighboring Poland. The habit of non-belief had been passed down. For many Czechs, the grand, absolute narratives of both religion and political ideology had proven to be hollow, or worse, tools of oppression. What was left was a focus on the individual, the tangible, the rational, and the personal. You see the legacy of this profound skepticism everywhere. It's in the quiet, almost defiant way people live their lives. There's a palpable sense of liberalism, a live and let live ethos that can be startling. On the streets of Prague, you'll notice the prevalence of tattoos. It's not just a fleeting trend. It feels like a deeply ingrained form of personal expression, a statement of ownership over one's own body after decades when the state claimed that right. Young people, in particular, use their skin as canvases, expressing an individuality that was denied to their parents and grandparents. This spirit of permissive individualism is most visibly, and controversially, manifested in the city's cannabis shops. You'll see their green leaf logos every few hundred meters in the tourist center, selling a dizzying variety of CBD products, hemp cosmetics, and smoking accessories, creating a veneer of Amsterdam, like freedom. However, this is another layer of the city's complex reality. Many locals will tell you these shops are largely a tourist trap. The products for sale contain little to no THC, the primary psychoactive compound in cannabis, exploiting a legal loophole to sell something that looks edgy, but has little effect. It's a perfect microcosm of the Prague paradox, the appearance of radical freedom used as a tool for pragmatic, sometimes deceptive, commerce. It's a society that has emerged from decades of being told what to think, what to believe, and how to live, and has responded by embracing a radical sense of personal autonomy, for better or for worse. The romantic image of Prague, a city of artists and dreamers, often clashes with the hard economic realities faced by its residents. While it remains more affordable than Paris or London, Prague is not a cheap city to live in, especially when measured against local wages. The gross average monthly salary at the time of this journey hovers around 43,000 Czech crowns, which is roughly €700. After income taxes, which can range from 15% to 23%, and mandatory social security contributions, the take-home pay can be stretched perilously thin by the cost of living. housing is the biggest drain. Renting a modest, square meter one-bedroom apartment in a desirable neighborhood can easily cost 25,000 Czech crowns or more, nearly 1,000 euros, consuming a huge portion of an average salary. This relentless economic pressure has fostered a culture of profound pragmatism and, sometimes, a hustle that can surprise outsiders. You see it in the gig economy, with Wolt and Bolt food couriers on bicycles weaving through traffic in all weather, earning around 1,000 euros a month in a physically demanding job. And you see it in the small, everyday monetizations, like the fact that you often have to pay 20 Czech crowns, almost €1, to use the toilet, even in global fast food chains like McDonald's. A small but constant reminder that nothing is truly free. This pragmatism also fuels a far more controversial industry. It's a fact that few guidebooks will ever mention. But the Czech Republic, along with Hungary, is one of Europe's largest producers of adult films. Studies have shown that this small nation of 10.5 million people accounts for a disproportionately large percentage of the global industry. When you speak to locals about this, the answer is often a matter of fact shrug and a simple, non-judgmental explanation. Easy money. In a country where economic opportunities can be limited, it's seen by some as a pragmatic choice, made freely for financial gain. It's rarely discussed publicly. A hidden industry operating in plain sight. Another layer of the complex reality beneath the city's polished, family-friendly surface. But the Czech hustle is also one of brilliant innovation and fierce industrial pride. The most visible symbol of this is La Koda. The car brand is everywhere, a rolling testament to the nation's manufacturing prowess. While it's now owned by Germany's Volkswagen Group, it remains a point of intense national pride, a symbol of Czech engineering and resilience that survived 2 world wars and the planned obsolescence of communism. Seeing the streets filled with modern, high-end Koda SUVs is a statement that the nation is not just a historical theme park, it's a modern, industrial European player. This is the same spirit that produced Avast antivirus software, a global tech brand born here. It's the spirit of finding a way to not just survive, but to build, create, and compete on the world stage. And perhaps nothing symbolizes this blend of Czech artistry and technical prowess better than the Dancing House. It stands in stark, wonderful contrast to the surrounding historical buildings, a deconstructivist masterpiece that looks like it's in motion. It is the architectural embodiment of the nation's forward momentum, a confident step away from the past. To believe the Czech Republic is only Prague is like reading one chapter of a novel and thinking you know the whole story. The true soul of the country, its quieter, more contemplative heart, often lies beyond the capital's gravitational pull, in the towns and landscapes that tell a different tale. A short journey south takes you to Český Krumlov. If Prague is a grand, sprawling opera, Český Krumlov is an intimate and perfect chamber piece. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, it's a town seemingly frozen in time, with a massive castle complex perched dramatically above a horseshoe bend in the Vltava River. To get lost in its cobblestone streets, where every building seems to lean into its neighbor for support, feels like stepping directly into a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. It's smaller, more condensed, and offers a glimpse into a more provincial, less hurried version of Bohemian life. Or travel east to Kutná Hora. This was once the second most important city in the kingdom, its power and wealth, built on colossal silver mines that financed much of the grandeur of Prague. Today, its most famous site is the Sedlec Ossuary, a small chapel beneath a cemetery church, decorated with the bones of over 40,000 people. Skulls and femurs are artistically arranged into a massive chandelier, coats of arms, and haunting garlands. It's macabre, unsettling, and profoundly beautiful. A stark memento mori that speaks to a history shaped by plagues and wars, a powerful meditation on life and death that you won't find on a souvenir tea towel. For another perspective, head west to the spa town of Karlovy Vary. Here, the atmosphere changes completely. It's a world of belle-époque elegance, of grand colonnades where well-dressed visitors sip geothermal mineral water from strange, flat, spouted porcelain cups. This is the Czech Republic of health, wellness, and old-world glamour, a place that has drawn royalty and artists for centuries. And to see that the country is not just castles and towns, venture to the north, to the border with Germany, and you'll find Bohemian Switzerland, a stunning national park of dramatic sandstone pinnacles, deep gorges, and mossy forests. Its centerpiece, the Prague Gate, is the largest natural sandstone arch in Europe, a breathtaking testament to the power of nature. These places matter because they provide context. They show that the Czech identity is a mosaic of royal cities, industrial towns, elegant spa resorts, and deep, ancient forests. It's in these forests that you'll find another key to the Czech character: a deep love for mushroom foraging. Each autumn, families venture into the woods with baskets, an almost ritualistic hunt for dozens of types of edible mushrooms. Known as the poor man's meat, mushrooms are a staple of the national cuisine and a symbol of the people's deep, enduring connection to their land. This is the Czech Republic that most tourists miss, a world away from the hustle of Prague. Which brings us, finally, to food. In Prague's tourist core, you are constantly enveloped by the sweet, cinnamon, scented smoke wafting from stalls selling tredelník. This chimney cake, a spiral of dough roasted over charcoal and coated in sugar, is marketed aggressively and relentlessly as a traditional, ancient Czech treat. Tourists line up for it, filling its hollow center with ice cream, whipped cream, and Nutella. There's only one problem: it's not Czech. It's a Hungarian pastry, brilliantly rebranded for the tourist market within the last couple of decades. It is the perfect, edible metaphor for the curated Prague experience, something that looks and tastes authentic and appealing, but is actually a clever piece of modern marketing. To find the real taste of the Czech Republic, you have to push past these stalls. You must find a traditional Czech pub, often located in a cellar or down a quiet side street. This is the true heart of Czech social life. Here, you'll find the dishes that have fueled the nation for centuries. There's a sublime dish of marinated beef sirloin in a savory, slightly sweet cream sauce made from root vegetables, served with a tower of fluffy bread dumplings and a dollop of tart cranberry sauce. There's a rich, hearty beef stew, thicker and more intensely flavored than its Hungarian cousin, perfect for soaking up with those same essential dumplings. And there's the holy trinity of Czech cuisine: succulent roast pork, those ubiquitous dumplings, and tangy sweet and sour sauerkraut. This is soul food, designed to be washed down with what is arguably the country's greatest contribution to world culture: beer. The Czech Republic has the highest beer consumption per capita in the world, and for good reason. Beer is not just a drink, it's a liquid national treasure, a source of immense pride. It's often cheaper than bottled water and is treated with a reverence that borders on religious. This is the birthplace of the Pilsner style of lager, and a glass of crisp, cold, unpasteurized Pilsner Urquell in a smoky Prague pub is an experience as essential and authentic as anything this country has to offer. The traditional pub is where conversations happen, where friendships are forged, and where you can feel the genuine, unpretentious pulse of the city, far from the curated world outside its doors. So we return to where we began, on the cobbled stones of Prague. But now, we see it with different eyes. The city is no longer just a fairy tale. It's a text rich with stories of survival, defiance, and reinvention. Its beauty is real, but it's a beauty with scars, some visible, some hidden deep within its soul. It's a city that wears a mask for tourists, a mask of medieval romance, but underneath is a pragmatic, modern, and fiercely independent face. Prague doesn't just show you its history, it makes you feel the weight of it. It teaches you that preservation can be a form of violence, that freedom is a reaction to oppression, and that the most authentic experiences are often hidden just one street away from the crowd. What surprised you the most about the layers beneath Prague's surface? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this story opened up a new perspective for you, please share this video with a fellow traveler who loves to dig deeper than the surface. Subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating and misunderstood destinations. Thank you for joining this journey. See you on the next exploration.